work like this. Oh, it's blocked. Okay, well, we'll just have to figure out how to deal with that later on. Okay, good morning. Hi, I am Lindsay from Reach Out Recovery. Um, Today I am going to be talking about some of our infographics that go viral because that's a big piece of the content that we're putting out every single day that we see go viral every day on our website, on our social media, but we have never really put into video form. So anyway, I'm Lindsay Glass. I'm the founder of Reach Out Recovery. Reach Out Recovery is a website designed to help people with their recovery life, recovery from addiction, recovery from mental illness, recovery from alcoholism, recovery from really anything that plagues you. So we're really passionate about lifestyle tips, wellness tips, relapse prevention, and how to improve your everyday life with things that will actually help and make you better. We're also really, really interested in viral topics. So, what's trending in the news, what people are actually interested in, and we regularly try to address that. So, today I am going to be doing our tips for filter dysmorphia and our shadow work journal prompts. First, if anybody knows how to find yesterday's day list on Spotify, let me know because I forgot to save it and it was awesome. And it keeps telling me to go to my queue and check the recently played, but I can't from my phone. And from my computer, I never used it, so it's not showing me. And I'm honestly very frustrated because I like that playlist. But that kind of gets me to today's point, which is the first one we're going to be talking about is filter dysmorphia, which is the hidden cost of looking perfect. So anybody who is making content, anybody who is on TikTok regularly, who is on the web, who is putting themselves out there, is confronted by making content and having the choice of being able to improve their looks. So, for example, one of the reasons I have resisted going live and doing all of these YouTubes is I can't use those filters here. So, this is actually what I look like. And it's been a funny thing being a content creator in the age of filters because you get used to seeing yourself with filters. And then it's actually really weird when you don't see yourself with filters. So anyway, this is an article that did go, we did get a lot of attention for, and the infographic is up on all of our social media. So I'm going to go through it and read it to you right now. So filter dysmorphia, here are the hidden costs of looking perfect. And again, when we write about these things and when we, oh, hi, thanks for coming. Well, that's okay. It's probably just from coffee and probably just the lighting. But anyway, here's the thing about filter dysmorphia. First of all, filters can change your perception. Social media filters alter your features, making you compare your real face to an unrealistic ideal. So raise your hand if you've seen yourself with a filter and then had to see yourself out there in the real world in regular pictures. You know, it can be a complete shock to the system. Because you're not really seeing yourself in a real way anymore. So I think what the danger is the next tip, which is using these filters can actually fuel something called body dysmorphic disorder. That's something called BDD, and this is constant exposure to filtered images can increase anxiety and dissatisfaction with your appearance. You know, we see that a lot with teenagers. So we definitely don't want teenagers to be using these things and thinking that that's the way they have to look, because it's not real, and it's not setting their expectations. So here's the thing: anything where you're getting a brain reward and using these things does create a brain reward, you are rewiring your brain self-image. So your mind starts to expect yourself to look perfect all the time. And we all know that that's really, really not possible. So we become really, really self-critical. And this is exactly the opposite of what you want to be doing when you're trying to live a recovery lifestyle. The whole point is to improve our wellness and create less anxiety in our lives, not increase more. So here's the other thing, and this is really important for us to know as we see other people using them, that filters hide reality but don't fix your self-worth. So while you can constantly create this outside image, it's not real, and it doesn't actually make you feel good on the inside. It doesn't create authenticity, and your value really isn't in a filtered image. So one of the things you really want to do is to break this cycle. You can certainly start to unplug and stop looking at these and love your real self. So one of the things I've really tried to do as a creator and somebody who's a recovery advocate is to go filter free and really unplug and not use them moving forward, because it just becomes too weird, because you have to be yourself sometimes anyway, and you don't want to have that constant pressure. So the other thing is, you really don't want to be comparing yourself or your real images to other people's filtered images, because that's not, it's like comparing apples to oranges. It really isn't helpful. Filters can also completely distort your sense of beauty. And here's the reality. And I know this as somebody who is old enough to be a dinosaur now. The older you get, the more you realize that what people are attracted to is authenticity. It's being yourself. It's having something real to say. It's not from just showing filtered images over and over. And it may work for a while. And if that's the kind of attention you want, I'm not here to judge it at all. I'm just trying to say this is a recovery channel. And for people who are worried about recovery, you definitely want to focus on things that are going to make you feel better, not feel much worse. The other thing is mental health matters more than your likes. So if you're getting to a place where you really feel like you're looking at those likes, or you're looking at your videos and feeling that there's this incredible shame around the things that aren't going well, or when you don't look good, that's a real signal to stop. If your mental health is feeling challenged, that is your brain saying, hey, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, or maybe I should stop for a little while. And one of the things we always say, number one, is if you're having real serious feelings of self-doubt, if you're having very serious feelings of depression, seek support. They created these apps to addict us, to keep us coming back for more, to have us do things that make us want to feel bad about ourselves. And I believe these things can be used for good, but you have to work on it like anything else. Okay, I'm going to move on to our second infographic that went viral in the last few weeks, and that is shadow work journal prompts. I think this one is really, really interesting. Shadow work is not something that I heard a lot about when I was coming up in recovery, but we're talking about it a lot now, and I think it's both fascinating and worth doing for sure. So I'm just going to go through these journal prompts and share a few that I think might be helpful to really anybody out there. So the first one is, what's the biggest lie I tell myself consistently? And sometimes we don't even know we're lying to ourselves. Sometimes we're in a tough work situation, we're in a tough relationship, we're in some kind of circumstance that's going to be really, really hard to change or really get out of. And sometimes we're telling ourselves these lies because we kind of have to keep the status quo. We can't make a scene, we can't make huge changes, and we have to just keep doing the best that we can do. But it's also really important in terms of self-awareness and recovery to be aware of what we're telling ourselves. And if it's something that isn't healthy, then that's something you may want to be paying attention to. Okay, the second shadow work journal prompt is, when am I the hardest on myself and why? Where does it stem from? So this is another thing. And a lot of these questions we're really asking you to ask, Ask yourself questions that are going to bring about self-awareness. So ask yourself, pay attention. When am I the hardest on myself? Is it after something goes wrong at work? For me, it's generally, for me, it's always, I call it like finance and romance in my personal life and in my professional life. When things go wrong, when I feel embarrassed, it's so easy to be really, really hard on myself, beat myself up, go into a shame spiral of despair. And, where does it stem from? Childhood. I mean, where does everything stem from? The idea that I'm going to embarrass myself in class, or I'm not going to be okay, or I'm not going to be able to support myself. So, okay, the next shadow work journal prompt is, when have I felt betrayed? What would I say to that person who broke my trust? This is a really good one because many of us have felt betrayed and we kind of just keep going through life having that inside and not really doing the work around it to process the emotions and move forward. So think about it for a few minutes and think about, when have I felt betrayed, and maybe do a little bit of writing on what you would say to that person who broke your trust. I'm not suggesting you email it to them or text it to them or tell it to them. This is a journaling experience for your own information. Okay, the next one, it's one of my favorite questions because I'm certainly somebody that has suffered from jealousy. But here's the shadow journal prompt. What makes me feel the most jealous? And I think in answering these questions, again, not trying to make ourselves feel bad about the things that we feel jealous about, but just acknowledging, oh, you know what, actually, I'm jealous of their relationship. Well, why is that? And then when you can actually think about it, it gives you a little bit of insight. Well, I'm jealous because I don't have that in my relationship. Um, or I'm jealous because I wish I had a relationship. So, paying attention to what makes us feel jealous and journaling about it in a really healthy way is a great process. So, another one is, what's one trait I see in other people I wish I had? This is great. In the opposite version, I used to have a sponsor who would say, if you spot it, you got it. But this is the positive version. So take a look at the people you admire. What do you admire about them and why? And do you wish you had that for yourself? Okay, next shadow work journal prompt. What traits do my parents have that I hope I don't? Where do we even begin on this list? So, this is another one that I think is so valuable. Like, what don't you like about your parents? Write it down. Do you have any of those traits? Do you display any of those traits? It was a very interesting thing for me when we were writing our book because, the book that kind of put us on the map was the mother-daughter relationship makeover. And it was really interesting writing that book because that is the first time I realized that I had a lot of the traits that I had been critical of my mom, the traits that she had. So it's fascinating to realize that we have some of them. Okay, next shadow work journal prompt. What kind of things about yourself make you feel less than others? All right, what kind of things about yourself make you feel less than others? All right, well, this is a good one too. Maybe if you're single and you want a relationship and you see other people in a relationship, that's an example. Maybe if you see other people in jobs that you wish you had, that's another example. So that's a good one to think about. It makes us really pay attention to where our self-esteem needs a little bit of work. Okay, next one. When I think about the future, what am I most afraid of? Oh, I love this question. I spend a lot of time worrying about the past and worrying about the future and forgetting to be really mindful and enjoying the present. So, when you think about the future, what are you most afraid of? Good one. All right, next shadow work journal prompt. When was the last time I forgave myself? Now, I am in a recovery program, so I regularly work with a sponsor who helps me with something like that. But that's a great shadow work journal prompt. If you can't think of the last time you forgave yourself, you might want to try. So, next, what do you wish your friends and family knew about you? I actually do this one when I do my teen program, and a lot of them really are scared to share anything important about themselves with their friends and family. So, this is one that really nails down for us what's really in our hearts and our heads that we're carrying around that maybe we wish we could share with somebody that we're not. And the final shadow work journal prompt: what's something you're often embarrassed to admit to others? All right, that's a really good one too. We're often all walking around with these things that we think are going to be so shameful and embarrassing. And then sometimes you tell somebody and it's not a big deal at all. And in that release and relief of telling somebody, you feel so much better and you don't feel that you're isolated with this weird thing. So, anyway, those are your shadow work journal prompts for the day and a few tips for filter dysmorphia. And that's it for now. Have a great day.